These frames were not supposed to appear on the network. Objects that hover over roads, accompany airplanes, and disappear as if they had never existed. Too many witnesses, too few explanations. Today you will see footage of unidentified flying objects that shocked people around the world, and perhaps will make you look at the sky differently. On the 28th of January, 2025, in the Irish city of Dundalk, a quiet evening near the local park was broken by the shouts of a young man who noticed a strange object in the sky. He called his friend and excitedly shouted that he absolutely must also see this. He wanted to show him a spaceship hovering motionlessly in the air. It, unlike the guy, did not make a sound, but only glowed with red and green lights, which, perhaps, were too bright to ignore such a light. You can distinguish in the voice of the eyewitness that he experienced pure shock. The unidentified flying object hovered at a close enough distance to feel its reality. And for a moment, everything else just ceased to matter. And how would you behave in his place? We would never have taken an interest in someone's trip along a long Texas highway if it had not taken such an unexpected turn. Two people were driving in a car when one of them looked outside and froze. Parallel to their movement, very close, there was a huge black object. It glided low over the ground, as if not wanting to be noticed. The object followed at a short distance from them for some time, and then slowly moved away. On the network, people are actively discussing why it avoided detection. Who do you think the unidentified flying object was hiding from at the altitude of car traffic? In the year 2025, a regular passenger flight turned into chaos. When the airplane rose into the air, the passengers began to notice something strange outside the window. A huge object in the shape of a saucer was moving next to them. It was too close for anyone to feel comfortable. Panic quickly began in the cabin. In a matter of seconds, everyone started screaming, pointing fingers, and trying to comprehend what they saw. Someone managed to record this, but the video abruptly ends. According to the person who uploaded it to the network, the situation on board abruptly became serious. Everyone was ordered to stop filming without explanation and to observe silence. And it is exactly this silence that ultimately spawned more questions than the observation itself. Another video clip, filmed by a passenger during a flight, tells a calmer story, but for some reason it looks even more alarming. This time, the eyewitness did not advertise that he saw an unidentified object next to the airplane, but simply continued to film. Right below them, a massive saucer-shaped ship was moving measuredly. It did not attack, did not rush, but simply accompanied, keeping the pace. Later on the network, the attention of many viewers was attracted not only by the video itself, but also by its analysis. Experts verified the material and did not find any inconsistencies. Reflections, angles, lighting, everything matched. The absence of signs of manipulation leaves us with one unpleasant possibility. Everything is true. This is an event from the end of the year, 2024, and no one knows exactly where the clip was filmed. A group of workers in reflective clothing suddenly stops and begins to point at something in the sky. It is too small to catch the eye, but the reaction that the object causes is the same for everyone: stupor and shock. The workers immediately take out their phones and begin to record the flying object, I understand, so that you and I got an episode from the phone of only one eyewitness. The strange thing is that the experts who reviewed the video recordings did not find any signs of montage or digital processing. In Chile, on a quiet street at night, an unusual noise sounded. The strange thing was that it came from the sky. It woke up a woman who filmed this subject. She went outside with her phone and froze in place. What she saw had no explanation. A huge object hovered above her head, surrounded by something similar to a flame. It was not smoke or a reflection of a forest fire in a foggy sky, but a real, flickering, fire-like light that enveloped the unknown object. She stood shocked and tried to record a video as high quality as possible. Shortly after the woman shared this observation on the internet, new video clips with a similar object began to appear, but filmed in different places. Some tried to explain this as a natural phenomenon, possibly an atmospheric anomaly. But even you and I see that here is clearly not a natural physical event, but something uncharacteristic of earthly matters. On a quiet night in Kansas, a man was driving home when he suddenly noticed flickering glimpses of light above. At first they looked like distant lights until they began to slowly approach. Someone controlled their movement. The lights hovered in the sky above the car. The man took out his phone, trying to remain calm, while the fiery spheres drifted silently. Now, the main thing, after the video spread on the internet, other people started talking about observations of the same objects throughout the entire territory of the United States. The same lights, the same movements. And the conclusion: when something ceases to be a single, isolated case, we no longer have the right to brush it off. Mysterious apparatuses are flying above us and doing something. But for some reason, there are still no official explanations. On the 5th of March, 2026, residents of Spain witnessed an atypical incident in the sky. Something appeared there that should not have been there according to our concepts. At first, it looked like a weather anomaly, until a massive dark object appeared from the clouds, which held its position for more than 2 minutes. It flickered with faint lights, as if it was trying with all its might to camouflage itself. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it disappeared into the clouds. In a crowded square in Japan, all the people as one suddenly froze and looked up and took out their phones. A huge saucer-shaped object was slowly rotating above them. It did not rush and did not dart across the sky, but calmly remained in place, as if communicating. Yes, you see us, and this is reality. The video on the network underwent stormy discussion. Someone said that this could well have been Japanese advanced technologies, possibly experimental. But when even local experts could not match the object with any other flying apparatus known to science, and official faces ignored the fact of the appearance of an unidentified flying object in a crowded place, something else hung in the air: uncertainty. In February of the year 2026, a regular drive along the highway turned into a frightening escort. A group of local residents caught on video a massive disc-shaped object hovering quite low near the side of the road. It emitted a faint green glow and remained completely motionless, as if it was studying the movement of transport. What seemed more alarming was that this was not the first fact of its presence here. Earlier frames from the year 2025 were also found, where you can see a similar object flying just above the ground level. The unidentified flying object moved as if it intentionally avoided excessive attention. The man filming the night sky did not expect anything supernatural, but this video did not become ordinary. A massive structure of extraterrestrial appearance slowly emerged from behind the clouds, with a glowing center that looked almost like a burning core. It hovered motionlessly, as if observing. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the structure hid behind another cloud and disappeared. The people who caught sight of this filming could not come to a single opinion about what they were seeing, but almost everyone convincingly called the object extraterrestrial space technologies. The clip becomes viral after millions of people forward the video with the question, "What was that?" And until now, no one has answered what the vacationers on the beach saw. They noticed a massive round structure hovering in the sky, and unlike videos with flying saucers or spheres, this object did not look like a typical representation of an unidentified flying object. Rather, the construction that appeared in the sky resembled a giant Ferris wheel with unusual luminescent illumination. This object did not move chaotically and did not disappear with lightning speed. It simply remained in immobility, silent, like an obsession. This time, it did not hide, but tried to be seen. People zoomed in on the image, analyzed the frames, and to their surprise, did not find any obvious signs of montage in the video clip, which only aggravated the riddle. In the year 1981, a person named Carlos Diaz captured something extraordinary, not far from his farmhouse in Mexico. A glowing object appeared in the sky, bright as the moon, but it was moving quite fast. The man grabbed his camera and began to film, and at that moment, the object hovered in one place, steadily and silently, and then suddenly changed direction, as if it moved to another dimension. Experts carefully studied this video recording, but did not notice any traces of computer tricks or montage. Simply sometimes we encounter something that looks too strange to be placed into customary frames. In the Chilean city of Osorno, at the end of the year 2023, people also noticed something strange in the sky. At first glance, it looked like a cloud, but it was too perfect. Its smooth edges and distinct shape resembled a large saucer lying upside down. And unlike a cloud that floats and mutates, this saucer remained in one place without changing its shape. Some even claimed as if they noticed how it slowly rotates. Others said that they heard a faint sound emanating from it. Officially, this can be explained as a rare, natural phenomenon, a perfect lenticular cloud. But what about the strangeness that it held its shape for so long and forced people to stop and examine it in surprise? How do you think? Is it really a cloud or someone's camouflage suit? In the subjects about observations of unidentified flying objects, there is much in common. They appear from nowhere, do not make noise, move smoothly, do not like surveillance, although they themselves are engaged in this. But there are certain differences that concern not only the models of their constructions, but also the variance of departure from the field of vision of the observer. Somewhere in Nevada, a man observed how a huge saucer slowly moved across the sky, shifting from one place to another, as if scanning the ground below. It did not hurry, did not dart around, just observed. Then it stopped, hovered for a moment, and without warning, took off upwards, but not just into the sky. It looked as if it entered a doorway or a portal in the air, and then disappeared. Without fading, without a trace, it simply left empty space behind itself. Near the Appalachian mountain range, a video was filmed that caused anxiety among many. A massive saucer-shaped object silently hovered in the sky, almost not moving. Then spheres slowly began to appear and descend from it. But the real horror happened later. The larger apparatus did not fly away. It stayed, only now it looked different. Before the eyes of the amazed observers, it began to merge with the sky, dissolving into it, as if it was becoming transparent. This maneuver amazed everyone. How many alien ships can apply such camouflage to remain unnoticed right in our sight? Think about why several circumstances converge in the majority of subjects. An unidentified flying object more often appears at night or before dawn, and tries not to linger for long if it feels observation. At the beginning of the year 2026 in Portugal, a man woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning from a strange sound. It was not loud, but absolutely exactly wrong. The person walked to the window, still half asleep, and was dumbfounded. Outside, something massive hovered low. There, it slowly began to rise into the dim morning sky. A flying saucer, at the bottom of which strange symbols brightly glowed, distinct enough to notice, but completely unfamiliar to understand. A few moments later, shortly before the sunrise, the unidentified flying object disappeared, as if it did not want to remain in sight for long. This topic is quite relevant. There have always existed speculations about a connection between the Egyptian pyramids and extraterrestrials, and this viral clip only fueled the interest. Next to the Great Pyramid of Giza, a driver captured something that did not seem like an accident or a desert mirage at all. A bright light hovered right above the top of the pyramid. It was stable, as if someone was controlling it. Then the light suddenly soared upwards, divided into 2 lights, then into 3, then into a larger quantity, and within a few seconds, a multitude of glowing spheres scattered across the sky, as if following some pattern. In the harsh landscapes of the canyons of Arizona, a lone tourist captured something atypical for the contemplation of nature. A saucer-shaped object quietly hovered in the air and then began to move along the canyon, as if it knew exactly where it was heading. It drifted from one side to the other, almost like a patrol, inspecting the area. The tourists continued to film until the unknown object finally disappeared from sight behind the rocks. How do you like this subject? Did it not seem that the unidentified flying object feels almost like at home, and its appearance here cannot be called accidental? I suppose that a real expanse for visits by extraterrestrials arrived during the times of the pandemic, when the chances of running into an accidental observer were maximally reduced. Nevertheless, this encounter happened in the year 2020 in Camden, when due to the quarantine the streets were unusually quiet, but something else besides the virus seized the sky. A huge black object quietly hovered over it, as if it was waiting for something. The few people noticed it and filmed it on video. Everyone was puzzled by its calm appearance, as if it was intentional. The object did not hide, but observed. I think it is not pleasant for anyone to realize that they are being kept under observation without any explanations. It happens so that a premonition prompts people about the presence of suspicious strangers. Animals, however, are much more sensitive in this regard. On a quiet farm, the owner noticed how his dog ran towards the trees and suddenly rushed back. It panicked, as if it had encountered something invisible. Then he looked in that direction and saw a disc-shaped object hanging low above the ground, completely motionless. He raised the camera, zooming in on the image, and its dimensions amazed him. It was a huge, silent observer that did not move, and suddenly the object reacted, as if it understood that it had been noticed. In a fraction of a second, the disc soared upwards and disappeared without a sound and a trace. We have lived to the point that unidentified flying objects in our days no longer hide even in daylight. Two people were flying low over the fields in a small airplane and thought that the flight would become just a routine inspection of the surroundings. Suddenly, something below seemed suspicious to them. Right in the middle of the crops, a massive structure could be seen, too perfect to turn out to be a farm building and to generally be located there. The craziest thing happened a second later. The flying saucer simply dissolved into the air, disappeared without movement. The object seemed to merge with the plantings. It became absolutely invisible. And again, the observers saw only fields. Here is what is interesting. How do unidentified flying objects behave when they are discovered? Do they fly away so fast that our eye does not have time to notice? Or do they camouflage in the surrounding environment in a special way, while remaining in the same place? Let me know your considerations. In Idaho, a quiet night of the year 2024 took a strange turn for the author of this video. When his dogs would not stop barking, he went outside and noticed something hovering just above the tree line. A massive triangular apparatus slowly rotated in place. It did not drift, but exactly rotated, as if it was scanning the ground below. He began to film it on video while the apparatus continued its measured and purposeful movement. In the year 2023, a quiet trip to nature turned into a hunt for extraterrestrials. Along the way, a man noticed an object of a strange shape hovering over the road. Thinking that it was a balloon, he zoomed in on the image. But the more he increased the scale, the less he understood what it was. The construction looked rigid, mechanical, artificially created, almost engineering. And it did not float like a glider in a random manner, but held its position. An evening in a quiet town in Michigan once turned into an episode from a science fiction movie. A local resident went outside and noticed something massive in the shape of a disc in the sky. It was flying low, too low to be something customary. But the matter was not only in the size. Around the main disc, he saw rings that slowly rotated, like some kind of mechanism. The eyewitness began to record a video, himself trying to understand what this was. But after a few seconds, everything lit up and disappeared as if it fell into a hole in space. In the year 2021, somewhere in the desert expanses of Nevada, there happened to be a person who turned on the camera in time. And this is how we learned what was happening there. A dark, V-shaped flying apparatus silently glided through the sunset. No traces of fuel in the sky, no noise, only smooth movement. The unidentified flying object did not dart around and did not hurry, but swam, as if the entire sky belonged to it. Anyone who saw this for the first time would fall into a stupor, and our eyewitness, exactly similarly, just stood, trying to understand what was in front of him. There will be those who will assume that this is some kind of top-secret technology unavailable to the public, and someone will straightforwardly declare, "Stop looking for excuses. These are simply extraterrestrials who know what they are doing here." This is not the first episode of observing an unidentified flying object in the Camden Mountains, which are called the Japanese Alps. Something unusual again appeared here in the year 2024. Tourists were filming the landscape and suddenly discovered huge objects hovering in the sky. But the most frightening thing was the realization that now in front of them were not tiny lights, but huge, real flying ships that were impossible not to notice. What is interesting, the local residents were not strongly surprised because they had seen similar strange things there before. But even they admitted that these structures were much larger and clearer. In December of the year 2025, at the Juan Santa Maria International Airport in Costa Rica, something unusual happened in broad daylight. Next to the runway, a clearly distinguishable hovering object got into someone's camera. No blurry contours or distant distance, it was in close proximity to the airplanes. A week earlier, an air traffic controller had already mentioned strange observations from the tower. Even the radar fixed unusual activity, which was observed in this area for several hours. Therefore, when these frames appeared, no one doubted their authenticity. A couple of years ago, a man driving along a remote stretch of road stopped, having noticed something in the sky that he did not expect to see. There hung a dark triangle similar to an alien vessel. Underneath it, faint lights pulsed, giving it the same appearance that other eyewitnesses on the internet had already reported. It was conditionally named TR-3B. It is assumed that this object is the Black Manta, a hypothetical spy plane that was created within the framework of a secret development. It is often associated with observations of unidentified flying objects in the shape of black triangles. This video was filmed in Russia in the year 2023, when a master for the repair of wind turbines became a witness to something that is hard to believe in. He tore himself away from work and with horror saw how a huge flying saucer drifted very close, dangerously descending near the structures. The most interesting thing is that the unidentified flying object was descending towards a specific hidden place nearby. It did not fall and did not attack, but simply parked, habitually as if it knew exactly where it was heading. The second notable fact, later the mechanic declared that afterwards, he became a witness to subsequent arrivals as well. If so, then the unidentified flying object was returning to a familiar shelter. A driver on the highway took his eyes off the road and noticed something extraneous in the sky. There, to his amazement, hung a motionless, massive dark disk. Not having the opportunity to stop, the man grabbed his phone and began recording on the go. The video turned out shaking, but clear enough to see a strange silhouette. Then again, something unexpected happened. From the bottom of the disk, another object detached, a light one, similar to a parachute, and began to slowly descend, as if it was being lowered intentionally. This moment changed everything, because the phenomenon no longer seemed like an illusion. Rather, it felt like a process that had a clear goal. A strange clip, filmed in the year 2025, shows not just a separate flying object, but some kind of interaction, the essence of which no one could explain. What we will see seems too precise to become an accidental optical illusion. A triangular flying apparatus slowly, purposefully moves across the sky, then hovers. Suddenly, from nowhere right above it, another one appears, smaller in size. For a moment, both unidentified flying objects hover, together, ideally aligning, and then approach and connect in the air, exactly like parts of a single whole. And in a few seconds, everything is already over. Faster than the sun at sunset, both objects disappear, as if they want to convince everyone that it really just seemed to us. One more subject from territories that cannot be called densely populated. In September of the year 2020, far in the mountains of Alaska, a group of tourists captured something they did not expect to encounter. In the silence above them appeared an object in the shape of a saucer or disc. It smoothly glided, as if earthly laws of physics did not influence it. No noise or sharp movements. It moved across the sky the way reality usually looks in a dream. And when they managed to film it a little on video, the object disappeared just as quickly as it appeared. On the 19th of March, 2025, not far from Nashville, a man raised his head to the sky and thought that he saw a large cloud. But something in it was not right. Its shape was too clear, structured, like a perfect part of a disc. Moreover, blue lights emerged from it, which simply glowed from above without movement. That is when it ceased to seem like a cloud. Remember, people observed something similar in China during the day. I also said that it resembles a Ferris wheel. This strange cloud simply hung there, not changing its position. Ordinary clouds would have moved a long time ago. And the more people watched this clip, the more remarks they left. Someone clearly wanted to hide in this cloud. This unidentified flying object was observed in the sky above the Colombian city of Medellin. People noticed something jagged in the sky, hovering just above the ground, low enough to distinguish its shape. It was not a typical flying saucer. The object had a strange patterned shape that did not look like our flying vehicles. Rather, it was too elaborate to look functional. Crowds gathered, some were recording video, others simply froze in place, as if they were waiting for something. And, honestly speaking, it also seemed that something was just about to happen. But the mysterious object disappeared without a single sound, simply vanished. However, the general tension remained even after the sky emptied again. After viewing such video clips, a frightening question arises. What if we are being kept in the dark, and a connection between the American military and extraterrestrial activity really exists? And then it becomes logical why in official sources it is not customary to raise the topic of unidentified flying objects. At the beginning of the year 2024, a quiet recording from a field turned into something much larger than expected. A man calmly filming the pink sky before dawn suddenly caught in his camera a huge object that seemed to appear from nowhere. But this is not the most frightening thing in the subject. The object was followed by an entire escort. A multitude of jet airplanes and helicopters were moving in formation, as if they were leading an alien. This entire scene looked coordinated, as if this was happening not for the first time. And this is a completely fresh video. Obeying the same uncomfortable feeling that there is something in the sky, people looked upwards and saw something. A gigantic round object froze in the sky, not moving, not making a sound, simply hung there like an artificial moon, as if it was specially placed there. No blinking lights, no movement, but its very silent presence pumped up anxiety. There were those who took the object for a balloon. But as soon as eyewitnesses zoomed in on the image, it immediately became clear that it does not work out to explain. The structure and behavior of the object, everything seemed strange. And the longer it remained there, the more it seemed that the ship was not simply hovering, but waiting. In May of the year 2024, a strange flying object was recorded in the sky above Tehran, which behaved completely differently than in similar cases earlier. Its movement could be called smooth, controlled, almost deliberate. And one more circumstance distinguished this episode from the rest. The object emitted a sound, which, according to eyewitnesses, did not match with any known flying apparatus. An expert ufologist, having reviewed the recording, declared that this soundtrack was not similar to an accompaniment, artificially created in a sound recording studio, which only added oil to the fire of speculations. As we found out, unidentified flying objects skillfully use the light of the sun, the moon, and the shadows of clouds to hide from us. In the year 2020 in Portugal, two men exited a store and paid attention to the unnaturally bright light around. The illumination seemed frighteningly strange. Raising their eyes, they understood why. A huge object hung in the sky, partially covering the sun. It was not completely visible, as if it was exactly trying to hide against its background, but its outlines were enough to understand. This is not a cloud. Eyewitnesses took out their phones while the dark figure silently hovered. As you can imagine for yourself, in those places where the landscape does not differ in a variety of colors, any unusual object immediately catches the eye. Of course, if it is not masquerading. In October of the year 2024 in Antarctica, members of an expedition noticed how something unusual is drifting among the clouds. At first glance, this looked like a part of the sky itself. A white, smooth disk, almost merged with the surrounding environment. But the shape gave it away. An ideally round, too-perfect flying item could hardly be a cloud. Then the eyewitnesses increased the scale of the filming, and the object appeared before them, motionless, observing the frozen landscape below. No reaction emanated from it, but people on the snow should have been visible from afar. A few minutes later, the unidentified flying object slowly hid behind a mountain and disappeared. This subject is a little older than other clips. Presumably, it was filmed at the beginning of the 2000s. A man standing on a quiet beach suddenly paid attention to something glowing. A bright disk appeared in the sky, but it did not smoothly hover, but moved unevenly, almost unstably, as if it was trying with all its might to hold on. The light emanating from it seemed intensive, unnatural. The eyewitness continued to film while the disk descended. It even seemed to the man that it could fall. And then the clip abruptly ended, and we never found out where the story concluded. Whether the unidentified flying object soared into the sky or crashed in the wilderness. What if alien ships can also get into an accident? Technical malfunctions are an everyday matter, is that not right? Some people violate the boundaries of the permitted and sometimes see what they should not have. However, this does not go without consequences. Many are interested in the anomalous Area 51, and this curious man did not become an exception. He launched his drone into territory where filming and the presence of outsiders is forbidden. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, this appeared. A huge dark object in the shape of a donut. It hovered low and cast a massive shadow. And, what is surprising, almost did not move, simply remained in place, as if guarding something. The video clip naturally became viral on the internet. But shortly after uploading, the author of the content disappeared, and these frames are everything that now remains from that story. Honestly speaking, I have not completely decided whether I myself would like to become an eyewitness of similar events, or would prefer to watch our episodes. I think they force to reconsider reality and accept what seems like a fabrication. But from you, I exactly expect something unusual. For example, interesting comments to this video, likes and clicks on the subscribe button. And right now, watch our previous episodes, which have already appeared on your screen. Thank you for viewing.